आपका आज वीडियो में
स्वागत है।
आज जो वीडियो हम लेकर आए हैं उसका टाइटल है
मोस्ट डेंजरस टेंपल इन द वर्ल्ड, रानी की वाव।
तो चलिए देखते हैं ये वीडियो, लेकिन इससे पहले
इस वीडियो के चैनल का ओरिजिन लिंक आपको हमारी वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन मिल जाएगा। सब्सक्राइब करें, लाइक करें, शेयर को फॉलो करें। इनके चैनल को उसके लग में ब्लॉग चैनल का लिंक और इंस्टाग्राम का लिंक भी हमारी वीडियो के डिस्क्रिप्शन मिल जाएगा। सब्सक्राइब करें, लाइक करें, शेयर को फॉलो करें।
चलिए देख लेते हैं ये वीडियो।
Hey guys, there is a mysterious ancient structure in Gujarat. What is it? Archaeologists and historians tell us a standard story. This is called Rani ki Vav. It is a step well built for the locals so the locals can get down these steps and draw water from this well. But you are about to learn that this is not a step well, but it was built for a completely different reason. What you're looking at is one of its kind. It's an inverted negative temple. Some fancy words you may think. A typical Hindu temple starts with the ground level, has some steps going up to increase its height or altitude gradually. Finally, at the tower area, starts with a large base and then ends up having a pointy end at the top, right? Now, Rani ki Vav is designed exactly the opposite way. It starts with the ground level, slowly starts to decrease its altitude. You gradually go down, and at this area, it starts with a larger top but ends up having a pointy end at the very bottom. Maybe I can do better. So here we're making a model of Rani ki Vav. Imagine this foam is the piece of land, and I'm starting to carve the steps here, and then there is a flat area here, and then I carve more steps, then a flat area, and so on. And at the far end, I've started to make a deep, so-called quote-unquote well, which gradually reduces in its radius towards the bottom. If you look at this model now, it looks very much like Rani ki Vav, right? But in order to see the negative temple, we have to fill up the empty space and see what happens. So I've taken some plaster of Paris and I'm going to fill up the empty space. I'm filling up everything and kind of leveling up the ground level. The plaster of Paris is now slowly solidifying inside the empty space. In a few minutes, it completely solidifies. Now remember, I told you it's an inverted negative temple, so I have to invert this model. Now let me cut off the foam and see how the solidified empty space looks. The foam represents the positive material, and I'm slowly removing the positive material. As I'm doing it, you can start to understand that it looks very much like a Hindu temple. Let me clean up the foam sticking on it, and you can see for yourself. This is not just looking similar to an ancient temple, it's looking identical to a typical ancient temple. I have just proved my theory that Rani ki Vav is not a step well, but an inverted negative temple. If you go to most ancient temples, you will see steps rising in altitude. Then there will be a small shrine called mandapa, and then there will be more steps leading to more mandabas, and at the far end you will see a giant tower with a pointy top. And this is exactly what we see here. If we exclude the minor details and look at the macro model, there is no doubt that it was built as a negative inverted temple, and no other temple has ever been built like this. Not only in India, but in the whole world. So what we are looking at is actually a wonder of the world. No one has understood that this is such a temple in the last few centuries. I think I am the first one to fully understand this. Now, how did I realize that it was a negative temple? I visit hundreds of ancient sites, and the energy and vibration in every place is usually very positive and peaceful. However, our entire team became very negative as we entered the site. They felt anger and sorrow. They blamed it on the weather and other things, but I could feel the negativity get more and more intense as I went deeper and deeper into the structure. This is exactly the opposite of what happens when you visit a positive temple. Typically, in a Hindu temple, as you walk towards the main chamber, your positivity increases and you reach a calm, joyful state when you're in the main chamber. Of course, you can easily dismiss this as pseudoscience, but we have all had at least one instance where we met a negative person, but we did not trust our instinct and paid for it. But if it has such a negative vibe, what happened to the builders who built it? This is the crazy part. After creating such a negative structure, the builders seem to have understood its energy. They completely abandoned this place and moved out of this area. All the locals were also forbidden from visiting this place. Nobody entered this location for many centuries until 1890, when two British archaeologists accidentally, quote-unquote, discovered this structure. They have recorded that initially nothing was visible except a small pit and a few pillars. The whole place was completely covered with dirt. In fact, the two archaeologists expected to find a very small structure when they started excavating it. But when they started to understand about the actual size of this place, they gave up the excavation project. There have been at least 5 different attempts to excavate and restore this structure since then, and every attempt has been stopped halfway because they keep finding more and more elaborate structures. The last excavation and restoration attempt was done between 1981 and 1987. Did they succeed in finishing the job? No. They could only finish the job up to this part, and beyond this line, no one is permitted because the excavation and renovation is not complete. And experts are embarrassed to admit that it may never be completed. Why? Because as they excavate more and more, they keep finding more and more stuff. Some say this structure actually stretches underground for acres. Some say the so-called well, it keeps on getting deeper and deeper, just like the mystery of the structure. This place is so mysterious that archaeologists sheepishly admit that no one actually knows the original name of the structure. Today, it's simply called Rani Ki Valve, meaning the Queen's Stepwell. Did a queen actually build such a structure? And did she just name it simply as a Queen's Stepwell? After quote-unquote discovering this structure, archaeologists and historians searched for some evidence about the builder, as they could not find anything on the site. And they found an obscure 14th century text that talks about a stepwell built by a queen. So they've conveniently pinned it on her. Experts admit that this is only a guess, as they have not found one single inscription about this queen in all of this giant structure. Think about the human mind for a second. When people donate a single stone block to a temple, they write their names all over it. When some generous influencer buys food to the homeless, they take a picture of that and post it everywhere. Who built the world's only inverted negative temple? And why did they not write their name on the walls even once? However, experts have tried their best to keep this place mystery-free, and they've even claimed that a statue found here shows the queen who built it, and she built it in memory of her husband. However, the statue looks like any other female statue in the temple. And why didn't the royal courtiers write anything about such a wonderful structure? If she did construct it in memory of her husband, why isn't the husband carved all over the structure? In fact, he is not even carved once, because we can identify all the statues here. Nearly all of them are Hindu gods. But whoever built it was very special. It needs a superhuman thinking to merge both positive and negative construction techniques. Wait, positive and negative construction techniques? What is that, right? You see, ancient Indians used two major types of construction techniques. The first construction technique follows addition of materials. This is how we build everything today. We start from the ground and start adding blocks from the bottom to the top. This is the positive construction technique. But ancient builders of India also used a negative construction technique. They created structures by removing materials. They did not add a single piece of stone, wood, or metal to these temples. These temples were created by scooping out tons and tons of rocks from hills. The builders started from the top of the hill and removed the material from top to bottom. This is the negative construction technique. But the unique aspect of this structure is that it has employed both positive and negative construction techniques. First, the ancient builders had to remove everything. They had to clear the trees and then had to dig a giant crater into the ground, removing tons and tons of dirt. How much dirt are we talking about? This structure is approximately 200 feet long, 65 feet wide, and 100 feet deep. I calculated the approximate volume of this. So first, they had to remove 65,000 tons. Yes, 65,000 tons of dirt from top to bottom. This was the negative part of the construction. This is by no means an easy job even today. Even if you use modern earth-moving machines, it can still take a very long time. But this is actually the easy part of the construction. After this, they had to start from the bottommost level and start adding stone blocks. This is the positive construction technique. But at this depth of 100 feet, water seeps into the soil and makes the soil wet. So they had to put in a very strong foundation. How many stone blocks were used for this construction? Too many to count. How many floors do you think this structure has? 7 floors. Yes, it has a total of 7 levels, just like most Hindu temples. Every level is filled with pillars, beams, not to mention beautiful statues. So imagine the amount of time and effort needed to create such a brilliant structure. What is Rani Ki Vav's real name? Why was such a structure built? Why did the builders want to create a negative structure? Did something happen to the builders while constructing a massive negative structure? Is this why they abandoned the site? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I am PraveenMohan. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
रानी की वेब की मैंने पहले भी बहुत सारी जो है वीडियोस देखी हुई है, लेकिन आज जो वीडियो है ये एक बिल्कुल डिफरेंट एक सोच के साथ मैंने देखी है, क्योंकि हमेशा स्टेपवेल को मैंने स्टेपवेल की तरह ही देखा है, कभी इस तरह नहीं मैंने सोचा।
वेल मैं ये कहूँगी कि हमारी शायद जो सोचने की क्षमता है वो इतनी कम है कि हम लोग एग्जैक्टली कि हम लोग इस साइड पर तो कभी आते नहीं। बट मैंने एक चीज़ देखी है, आप जितना भी हिंदुइज्म को देखते हो ना, और लाइक जो आप एंशिएंट स्पेशली आर्किटेक्चर को देखते हो, आप हैरान हो जाते हो, मतलब आपकी अकल दंग रह जाती है कि उस टाइम के लोगों ने क्या क्या टेक्निक्स यूज़ की हैं और किस किस तरीके से बनाया। जैसे इसमें रानी की वाव के बारे में प्रॉपर बताया। सबसे पहले तो इस चीज़ को अंडरस्टैंड करना, हमारे जैसा इंसान जाएगा तो वो डायरेक्टली देखे वो बोलेगा वाव कितना अच्छा बना है, कितना डिफरेंट लग रहा है,
कितना कारीगरी कितनी अच्छी पे की गई है।
से हम लोग नहीं सोचेंगे कि मतलब जिस तरीके से टेम्पल है उसको अगर हम लोग रिवर्स कर दें या मतलब उल्टा कर दें तो उस तरह के स्ट्रक्चर पे बना है। तो मुझे तो सबसे पहले ये नहीं समझ में आ रहा था कि जो नेगेटिव स्ट्रक्चर होता है, जैसे उन्होंने बताया कि वो ऊपर से ऐसे स्टार्ट किया जाता है जो नेगेटिव स्ट्रक्चर, तो उसका इम्पैक्ट क्या होता होगा नेगेटिव स्ट्रक्चर का। क्योंकि अगर नेगेटिव स्ट्रक्चर बनाया जाता था उस टाइम पर तो डेफिनेटली उसकी कोई ना कोई रीज़न तो रहती होगी। अब वहाँ पर जाकर जो एनर्जी है वो भी ऐसी आपको फील होती है जो कि नेगेटिव होती है, आपके मूड स्विंग्स होना शुरू हो जाते हैं, जैसे कि वीडियो में बताया उन्होंने कि आप फील कर पाते हैं। और अगर प्रवीण सर की हम लोग बात करें तो वो बहुत ही, मैं कहूँगी कि उनका नॉलेज इतना अच्छा है, और जिस तरीके से हमने उनका एक पॉडकास्ट भी देखा था, बचपन से लेकर वो इतने सारे टेम्पल्स जो हैं वो विजिट करते हैं, तो डेफिनेटली वो उस एनर्जी को बहुत जल्दी अब्जॉर्ब करते होंगे, समझते होंगे कि पॉजिटिव है या नेगेटिव एनर्जी है। सो मुझे लगता है कि वो सेंस हर किसी में नहीं होती, बट हाँ आपको क्यूरियोसिटी काफ़ी ज़्यादा होना शुरू हो जाती है कि अगर ये इस तरह से बनाया गया है तो उसका मतलब क्या होगा।
हालांकि वैसे अगर देखा जाए ना, इनकी जिस तरह बना हुआ है, जैसे वहाँ पे आप जो जितने भी आपको मूर्तियाँ देखने को मिलती हैं दीवार की दोनों साइड्स पे, फिर जिस तरह आगे आपको पिलर्स देखने को मिलते हैं, हर चीज़ बहुत खूबसूरत लगता है इस तरह भी देखने में। लेकिन हाँ, जो आज एक जिस तरह प्रवीण सर ने कहा कि एक इन्वर्टेड टेम्पल है, ठीक है ना, तो ये चीज़ क्योंकि कभी इस तरह की भाई कोई चीज़ सुनी ही नहीं है। हाँ ये सुनते थे कि भाई अंडरग्राउंड लोग चीज़ें बनाते हैं, ज़मीन के अंदर जो है लोग रहते हैं, लेकिन टेम्पल इस तरह उल्टा बनाना ये जो है काफ़ी ज़्यादा एक हैरान कुन आप कह लें, एक मिस्टीरियस चीज़ है कि भाई वाकई में हम जैसे लोगों को जो है ना
हमारे लिए समझना
बहुत मुश्किल होता है।
क्योंकि पता है वीडियो देखते देखते मेरे जहन में ये चीज़ जरूर आ रही थी कि नेगेटिव स्ट्रक्चर का इम्पैक्ट क्या होता होगा, अगर ये बना है तो इसका क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा। लेकिन लास्ट में प्रवीण सर ने खुद ही क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया। अब हमें तो इसका आंसर नहीं पता, हो सकता है आप में से बहुत सारे लोगों को इसका आंसर पता हो, क्योंकि हम लोगों ने इसके बारे में पढ़ने की भी कोशिश की है, लेकिन उसके बारे में वही हिस्ट्री लिखी हुई है कि किस तरीके से
चालुक्य डायनेस्टी सरस्वती में बना, सरस्वती रिवर के किनारे था, और जो है
बाद में किस तरीके से डिस्कवर हुआ।
हाँ, रानी उदयमती जी जो हैं उन्होंने ये बनाया, जो विकिपीडिया पे इसकी इंफॉर्मेशन है,
विकिपीडिया पर हम लोगों ने पढ़ा है। लेकिन एक चीज़ बहुत मुझे और मिस्टीरियस लगती है कि इसको जितना ज़्यादा मतलब एक्सक्यूवेट किया जाता है और जितना ज़्यादा इसके बारे में जानने की कोशिश की जाती है, ये उतना ज़्यादा और बाहर निकलता आता है। और पानी की भी जो वेल की बात की गई है उसके बारे में भी कि उसकी गहराई और ज़्यादा बढ़ती जाती है। सो ऑनेस्टली बताऊँ, मुझे तो डर भी लगता है ऐसी चीज़ें सुन के। सो पता नहीं क्या, हाँ इनमें क्या राज है, क्योंकि मैं इस चीज़ को मानती हूँ कि एनर्जीज होती हैं, पॉजिटिव और नेगेटिव दोनों होती हैं, लेकिन और इंसान उनको कंट्रोल भी कर सकता है, ये भी मैं मानती हूँ। बट हर किसी के बस की ये बात नहीं होती। जिस इंसान का खुद पर कंट्रोल होता है सबसे ज़्यादा, वो उस एनर्जी को भी कंट्रोल कर पाता है। सो मुझे लगता है कि ये वाकई में काफ़ी एक इंटरेस्टिंग प्लेस है। अगर आप में से किसी को इसके बारे में नॉलेज है तो प्लीज़ हमें कमेंट सेक्शन में या हमें ईमेल करके जरूर बताइएगा, या फिर आप कोई ऐसी मतलब वेबसाइट जानते हैं जहाँ पर इसके बारे में डिटेल से बताया गया हो तो भी हमारे साथ ज़रूर शेयर कीजिएगा, क्योंकि मुझे एक्चुअली में ना क्यूरियोसिटी हो रही है कि क्यों ऐसा स्ट्रक्चर बनाया गया, या अगर ये भी आप बता सकते हो कि नेगेटिव स्ट्रक्चर जो है बनाया जाता था उस टाइम पर तो उसके क्या रीजंस रहते थे। तो जरूर हम लोग को बताइए कमेंट सेक्शन में। और इसी के साथ हमें जो हमारी वीडियो
लाइक, सब्सक्राइब, शेयर, गुड बाय।